Yeah, wish is Stephanie. Whoops. Hi. Hey, how's it going? So much has changed. Okay, so I'm sitting on the floor in winter. And do you know why this is awesome? Because, and if you have been to or live in Korea, you might know this is Ondul. We have heated floors in the new apartment. This is not super common in Shanghai, but it's common enough that we were able to get an apartment with it. So I'm sitting on a heated floor, which is beautiful. Why don't more places in the world have this? I think Scandinavia has this too, right? Anyway, so I'm intentionally sitting on the floor because it's just beautiful. It's one of the warmer places in the apartment. Okay, I want to update you on my Leitner box. Do you see anything different? Do you see my sexy pleathery kind of thing that I got from Daiso, which is the Japanese dollar store that I love to death? Yes, we have moved from the plastic Miniso, which is another Japanese dollar store. We've moved from that box to the envelopes that I wrote all over, and I'll show you what I've done with that with this switch. And now the third incarnation of the Leitner system is in this just like cute little cheapy pouch that I got at Daiso for 10 kwai, which is a little over $1, but barely. Anyway, so what am I doing with the cards within it? Well, there's a couple of things happening right now because I need to get more rubber bands. I'm using hair bands. But so far I've got 5, 6, and 7. So there's 7 sections of the Leitner box, right? So I've got 5, 6, and 7 in one because I need to buy more hair bands. And right now I have 2 and 3 in another. And then 1 I have on the thing that you're supposed to use with these cards, which is why these cards have holes in them. You're supposed to put them on these things. However, these things are a nightmare to open and close. See, that's not usually what it does. It usually takes me a long time to open and close them. And because I flip through them and put them in like a go below a level, stay at the current level, or go above a level each time I touch them, it doesn't make sense to have them in this difficult state. So I'm aiming more towards more hair bands, but I have to go buy more hair bands. So it's kind of in a state of flux right now. But I've got basically those 3. This is the 150 HSK1 words plus some additions that I'll show you in a minute. Also, I've got some random post-its because you need post-its. I've got my pen with the multiple colors that I do the tones. I've got a pencil. I've got the Nightmare Tiny Eraser that I'm going to push through and use until it's all used up. I've got blank cards because every day I add some cards, whether it be the Metro cards or the new cards that I'll show you, or when I get back to doing HSK cards, there's that. I have some extra ones of the things to put into, but I think I'm going to throw those away because that's just not working with this. I like the idea of hanging these up at home, like 7, and then pulling the ones I need for that day, but I travel too much for work and that would not work. If you are at home and you want some of these, that would be a really fun thing to do, is to have 7 hooks and to just pick up the ones you need that day and take them with you. That'd be really cool. I would like to do that. That would be like a big reminder. You could have it next to your keys, right? You could have like 1 row of the 7 flashcard decks hanging on these things, and then you could have your keys below, and that way you can't forget to bring your flashcards with you wherever you go that day. I'm thinking about you. All right, so then I've got those. I've got some random binder clips for some reason, because I think for the if there's ever any parts of the box that are super small, I'm going to use binder clips instead of the hair bands. So I've got different kinds of ways to bind them together. It's a work in progress. And then I've got the listening. This is the listening I'm going to do tomorrow. I'm up to chapter 7. And don't be that impressed because there's they only started the listening for the HSK 1. They only started listening in chapter 5, so I've only done 2 of them so far. So this will be my 3rd listening. So I've taken that out of the book. As you can see, I have mutilated the book. I have taken out the listening so I can carry it in the pouch. And remember, this is the listening I'm doing that day. This is the review listening that I did before that I'd like to review again. And you can tell it's not in the Leitner 7 steps yet. I don't know if that's going to work. I really wanted that to work, but I don't think it's going to work to do them that many times. Simply because the listening, not writing, the listening takes me too much time, and I have to, right now, the transcripts and the answers for the listening exercises are a mess. They're saved in a Google Doc, because I had to grab them from the Chinese website, download them, and then save them in a Google Doc. I'm going to try to get them printed out so that I can just put them right next to the book, or right next to the pages that I'm carrying around that I just showed you, and just mark it that way. I'd like to look at the transcripts more than I am, but it's super hard when I'm playing the audio on my phone and I'm looking at the transcripts on my phone. It's sort of awkward. I do often carry 2 phones awkwardly, because this phone is the good recording phone, but it doesn't work in China for data, and my other phone is the one that I bought to actually functionally live in China, which is way more technologically advanced than the US as far as cell phones and digital payments, and far too much that I don't want to talk about right now. What do I have here? Oh, okay, so the other things that are in the Leitner bag this is a blank piece of paper that I'm going to write the next Metro list that I need to make those note cards. I still have the old envelopes because there's still some things I need to transfer. And I have, which I hope to start just randomly looking at, a list of radicals, most common radicals, just to kind of do a refresher when I get time. Yeah, sure. And that's all in there. The most important stuff is in the front, the notes and things are in the back, and I'm kind of confusing myself because I'm looking for, there it is, I still have the list. You can see where I am. This is supposed to be 64 days of the Leitner box, and I finished this entire row and I'm partway through here. I will get to about here by the time of my HSK1 test, which isn't too bad. I'm just going to miss this part. And then I'm going to start a new round of 64 when I start the HSK2 words, which I may start earlier. I don't know. I'm still thinking about it. I'm craving non-Metro words. The Metro words are turning out to be an issue as far as getting my daily craving of new actual vocabulary that isn't super functional words like street names. I don't know. I want different vocabulary. The HSK1 words were pretty satisfying as far as things that I think would be used in newspapers, and although it's really nice to be able to read the Metro signs now more than I could before, it's not as satisfying when thinking of the long-term goal. So those are all the cards that I have right now. Now, the newer cards that I have, again, I have some of the Metro cards, which I may turn into its own deck, because that's a separate project, and I'm not quite sure that needs to be in here. And then I have some cards. So from the outside of the envelope, there were things that I kept confusing with each other, and when I lost the envelopes and went to the sexy pleather bag, I needed to do something with those, and I thought it was time to do something with them anyway, because I did refer to them quite a bit, which means I need to incorporate them into studying. So I just turned them into, I'm sure you've seen this kind of flashcards before. These are 2 words that I kept confusing with each other. There we go. That's a little bit darker, right? So this is jiao, and this is shou. I can't get the sound of this one right yet, but this is like shout or cry, and this is to speak. And I think because this was a meaning confusion, I kept confusing those. So I made that card, and so that's going to go through the 7 steps of the Leitner. So I stopped confusing it. And so I made a bunch of those yesterday. Again, I have to take the rest of them off the rest of the envelopes so I can throw out the envelopes and fully move into the sexy pleather bag. But you get the idea. And for some reason I think I even did a video on this the other day when I had a nu, which is daughter, with erzi. I was thinking erzi is son, which it is, and I was thinking that it was going to be nu is daughter, and it's not. Clearly it's nu. So it's the that's repeated, not the z. Okay, don't need to overthink it, but I did need to remind myself that they are not that they do not have the same ending but I can tell the difference between the two, and those are pretty easy to recognize. But seeing them side by side really, really helped in figuring out the confusion. I've talked about this confusion a number of times, right, with lei and li. Lei is to come and li is inside. And so looking at them, and I still confuse them even with this flashcard and even with making videos about them for weeks now, I still confuse them, but hopefully this will help a little bit. So that's the newish kind of card that I'm adding. Also from the tops of the HSK, the HSK chapters, I've torn out all of that. Okay, so I can show you here. So each chapter has a theme, right? I'd like some cha. Oh, I think I can read that one. It's wu jiang. Yeah, jiang is I want. Wu jiang ho cha. Ha! I got it. Let me put it here so I can show you. Wu jiang xiang wu xiang he cha. Well, the he is written much better than mine. I need to rewrite mine. Anyway. So the point is, I'm taking these phrases and putting them on cards also. This is from chapter 7. 你叫什么? Oh, that's just a question from one of the practice tests. This is what's your name? But it's also a question that's pretty common, so I added it there too. But I also added the titles to some of the chapters that I can't find right now, but you get the idea. So I'm adding those if they seem like they'll be relevant or useful in the future, or with a word like he in this case. I don't have any sentences with he, so I like using things like this from the HSK material in the flashcards to give it more context. I'm really looking for context for ne, which is how about, but I don't know. I can't even tell you why that's confusing to me, because it just needs context. And I can't even, it's probably in the first level because it's such an awful looking creature. Oh, it's right here. It's not that bad actually, but it really confuses me because it looks like ting. So I probably need to do a card with ting, like to listen. And why do people say ting ting to stop a taxi? Are they saying listen, listen, like listen, stop? Because I would think they would just say stop here, but we say ting ting to stop the taxi driver at the spot. Ting ting, ting ting. Like why? Why? Is that a different ting? Oh, it's probably a different ting with a different tone. Anyway, this reminds me of ting, which is to listen. And here I wrote, I need a sentence. I need context. So there's a bunch of different cards because I've got this brief breathing period while the lower cards move up to the higher levels and then get out of the system. And while I'm working on the listening, which is kicking my butt, I've got some time to add these other cards and kind of refine the things that I really suck at, like all the words that I confuse with each other. So it's been kind of nice. It's been kind of nice to have that time. I didn't think I would get this far before the test. And it's gone well. It's almost exactly a month from now. So I'm really hoping that I get confirmation that I'm definitely taking the test on March 24th, because that's how I'm doing this. I mean, I'm literally consuming. You can probably see I've torn out so many pages from the book so that I can carry them around with me in this one central place. And that works really well because, again, I've got the audio now in my Google Drive and I've got the answers and the transcripts in my Google Drive. So all I need is my phone and hopefully the answer sheet and the transcript in paper form, but they're super short. So that shouldn't take up much space. But I've got my phone and this guy. And yeah, this guy gets kind of big, but I'm carrying around a big bag right now anyway because I've got the 2 phones and this and just life stuff. And you know what? It's not that big a deal. It's a city. People carry bags around cities. You carry stuff with you because you're out for a while because it takes forever to get anywhere in a big city. Yay! So that's my Leitner bag. It keeps changing. You should have seen me last night when I bought the bag thinking I might use it for this and I might use it for something else, and everything fit in it a little too well, as you can see right now. See that? So that's almost 200 cards, and there's still room in here. So I could probably even go with the smaller one, but to be quite honest with you, I like the fact that I don't have to like pull and yank and it being hard to get stuff out of here. So yeah. And today, to be honest with you, I didn't carry 5, 6, and 7 with me. I left this at home because I knew that I only had to review 2 and 1, sections 2 and 1. So I could have actually folded it over and it wouldn't have been that bad. It just wouldn't have been. But it still doesn't take that long to do the vocabulary part, so I don't have to carry this around with me. I just knew I was going to be on the metro a lot today and I wanted to do my review then, which is not that hard, but not ideal, but you do review where you can. So there you go. There you go. So onward and upward with the listening, the vocabulary, and the reading. So I've got them in 3 different piles, and I ripped out the listening so I can carry it with me in smaller form in the actual bag. So I mean, it's working. I'm doing a listening a day. I was hoping to do more than that, but again, I've got a month. If I do 30 more listenings, I already went way above the test percentage. So I mean, as far as passing the test, I'm golden. As far as getting used to the listening and getting more vocabulary and getting used to the sentences that I'm seeing, which is kind of exciting because I thought HSK1 was going to be just words because that's what I was practicing and that's what I thought a level 1 test would be. Oh no! There's sentences, there's grammar things that are slightly confusing, and measure words and time words are thoroughly exhausting. But you know, it's the language. I'm learning the language as I'm studying the test, which is just weird. And it's kind of one of my tiny bone of contentions with the Chinese language is that so far, the best stuff above the super beginning level where they're just introducing the word, the radicals, the characters, the words, just above that, the best graded materials so far have been the HSK test materials. And I think that's kind of it's kind of a sad state, to be honest with you. I really, really think there should be more stuff that's more approachable and more doable that isn't test oriented. But I'm not going to fight it. I'm just excited to have found it at this stage in the game because I was getting really frustrated with what to do next. So I'm kind of accidentally doing the HSK because I find that that's the easiest way to increase my language level and increase my vocabulary to get to the point of reading what I want to read. And it's working. I can read a lot more now. I can accidentally hear and understand more than I thought. But it's just a bizarre state that I have to do the language test material, use the language test materials to learn the language. There's got to be a different way. And I'm not even going to fill this gap with the mobile app that I'm making. I'm doing beginner stuff to bridge people into the pre-existing materials that are there. So I'm not even helping with this. This is too hard. This is way too hard. I don't know what else there could be. I mean, there's graded readers, but I keep picking up my graded readers and they're still way above where I am. It's just, it's overwhelming. I don't know what could be here instead of the HSK1 stuff. But I'm also floored by how much there is in this first level. Now there's only 6 levels. Okay, fine. And they do get a lot harder as you go up, but I'm finding in doing the listening and the reading and the that's all there is actually in the test. But in doing that, there's a lot of grammar and there's a lot of vocabulary and there's a lot more to it than just here's the list of 150 words that you need to know for HSK1. There's a lot packed into this first level. I'm so surprised by how difficult this first level is. But then again, this is my first official language test, so I have nothing to compare it to, well, except for the language test that I administer. But we're not going to talk about that. So I do have something to compare it to, and but it's a very different system. Oh gosh, you get to see the jammy jams. I am a mature adult in her 40s. Anyway, Right, so I'm gonna go now. So thanks for listening, and thanks for all your feedback on everything that's going on. I know this is a lot of HSK, but this is where I am this year. I do have some exciting interviews coming up, my first ever interviews on the channel, but it's going to be in March because I'm gearing up for the test and I'm gearing up for vacation. So it's going to be a lot of HSK before then, and then starting in March there's going to be some interesting stuff, and then I'll go back outside when the weather's nicer and we'll do some walkabouts, and hopefully by then I will read tons of stuff around me. So, and I still have the idea that some of you guys gave me of going back to the places that I looked for when I was just learning radicals and seeing how many words I can read in there. And I love that idea of revisiting those neighborhoods and reading stuff more than I could a year ago. I really like that idea. So there's a lot coming up, so just stick with me if you can, and we'll get through this. We'll get through this. All right, 再见, bye bye.